Alright, the race is going to be starting any moment now. It's starting exactly on the hour mark. But our commentator team here is myself, Fiesel, hello. And we've got Bad Breaks here. Hey, Bad Breaks.
Hey.
And we've got the Greenleaf Effect. Hi, Greenleaf.
Hello, hello.
This is going to be a good one, guys.
I'm looking forward to it.
Two old school Zelda 2 crew members right now.
Yeah, the biggest thing I wonder is Error gonna talk to himself?
Probably. And they are off. Alright, so if you don't mind me going to start. And the first thing both of these guys are going to be going into is they're going to be taking this first cave directly to the south of the starting palace. In this starting cave here, the first thing they're picking up is a magic container. Picking up all of the magic containers is required, for this is a 100% all keys category. The other thing they're going to be looking to pick up, and Error did just get it there, is the P-Bag drop there, the 50 experience point P-Bag. So Error did pick it up, however Sven did not manage to get it. So that's going to leave Error with a little bit of an advantage heading into both getting the shield spell and leaving Palace 1.
Yeah, it looks like Svenne didn't start his timer, so I'm going to use Error's timer here.
Okay. So Svenne then, not getting the P-Bag in the Magic Jar Cave, is opting to do Early Trophy Cave. Now, what this is doing basically is it is attempting to set up the experience point tally in the top right corner of the screen there. Basically, what you're going to see the runners doing is at the end of every palace, there is a gem that gets put into a shrine. And when you put said gem into the shrine, it gives you enough experience to level up. So what they are going to be attempting to do is manipulate their experience totals to get as much experience as possible from the end of palace shrines. So Svenne now making his way into the first town to get the shield spell, which you just saw Error pick up. Again, since this category is 100% all keys, there are certain things we need to pick up. Every magic container, every heart container, every spell, every dungeon item, and every attacking technique. Getting a full level up to 8 attack, 8 magic, and 8 life, and picking up all of the 1-up dolls is not required in this category. Because this is the all keys category, in addition to picking up all the items, every door that the runners pass by must have a key for it. That doesn't necessarily mean that they have to unlock the door, it just means they need to have a key for the door as they go past it.
Got the bad pattern.
I think Error is pretty happy with his run so far. He got both the bag and the bubble skip, so I think he's happy.
This is Error, is he really though?
Yeah, he's got pretty high standards.
Yeah.
Error was one of our racers at the Best of Nest Marathon.
Yes, he was.
And he showed us the interesting alternative route to Palace 7. Very educational stuff.
I am upset I missed that, but unfortunately I had to be to work early the next day and couldn't catch it. I'll have to go back and watch the VOD.
Yeah, he has a 303 entrance to the palace, so that's really good. That's basically no mistakes so far.
So what you heard BB refer to there with the bubble skip is throughout the overworld here, there are going to be encounter tiles, and as you see Svenne going through it right now, this is one of them. There are certain tiles on the overworld that have forced encounters on them. Now, there are ways to skip these encounters, and how you're going to see the runners do that is if they run into an enemy on the overworld on the exact same time, they would enter a forced encounter tile. The way the priority in the game works is that the encounter on the by the enemy will overwrite the overworld encounter, and a lot of times the enemy encounter will be a lot shorter and easier to navigate than the forced encounter tile would be. So there are going to be several points here throughout the run where you're going to see the runners walking in place, holding still for a moment, pausing to attempt to manipulate the overworld enemies to move where they want them to.
Yeah, you can basically see the encounters frame by frame when you do the pause buffering, so if you do it real fast, so you can see the direction they're going.
Now, what you're going to see both runners looking to leave Palace 2 with, or leave Palace 1 with, is going to be Attack 4. I said Palace 2 and got everything all messed up. I'll take the blame for that.
Got it. There you
I,
go.
I hope Fiesel didn't change the overlay there.
No way.
Nope. So attack 4 is what they're going to be looking for. So what that means is they're going to be looking to get to attack 3, plus have 50 experience points or more going into the boss of Palace 1, so they can get to get to attack 4, leaving the palace. What attack 4 is going to do is it's going to make the next part of the game a whole lot easier for them as they make their way through to get a bunch of other items that are required throughout the game.
Yeah, and picking up the 50 bag in the beginning gives them a 75% chance to get attack 4 leaving because of the 2 drops there.
Yep.
So if you skip it, it's basically 75% chance to get it.
Right, which most people would for their PB attempts once you get under about 120 or so, but maybe a little less than that.
Yeah, you only lose about between 10 and 15 seconds going to the trophy cave first. So.
Yep, that's not too bad. And if you happen to not get attack 4 by the end of Palace 1, it's not the worst. You can make up the experience. It's a little bit riskier, but you can still do it.
You're kind of a little bit in trouble if you get only jar drops.
Yep, you might get only jar drops. That does happen to some people sometimes.
Yeah. So what you hear Fiesel and Bad Breaks referring to on jar drops and P-bag drops is there are 3 sets of enemies in this game. One set of enemies drops nothing. They just drop nothing. One set of enemies is the small drops, and then there's the big drops. What they're specifically referring to is the big 6 dropping enemies, whereas every 6 enemy in this group of enemies has a chance to drop an item. In the big 6 category, it is a 50% chance of a 200 experience point P-bag and a 50% chance of a red jar. At this point in the game, especially this early, they're looking to get the experience point bags and not the red jars. Red jars will be a thing later when magic is much more utilized. What the red jar item does is it's going to fully restore your magic meter. And yes, for the chat, the red things you're referring to, those are the tin suits. They are an obnoxious little enemy that when they hit you, they don't give you any experience, but they do take it away from you.
That's right, and they respawn infinitely, so I guess they did it that way because they didn't want you to sit there standing one spot farming those things all day to get experience in the first palace, because people would do that.
Yep.
I think it's only 10 suits, and I guess flying heads also take 5 experience.
I think 10.
Is it 10 of those also?
I think they are. Moas also take experience, and those little birds, I forget what they're called, but the birds in the swamp encounters take experience as well. And the dog heads take experience.
Oh, it's those dog heads.
All right.
So the item that you just saw Svenne pick up and Error picked up a little while ago, that is the candle. What that item does is it varies slightly from its use in Zelda 1, whereas in Zelda 1 you can actually use it as a weapon. Here in Zelda 2, all it is going to do is light up all the caves. And poor Error getting the double jar drop, so he is not going to be at attack 4 leaving Palace 1.
He has not a happy face on right now.
Nope.
Well, we see a successful horse head fight over there. But we don't have successful experience management. 100 points short.
Yep.
Svenne gets the bag, the first bag there, so...
Actually, more than 100 points short.
He's good for attack 4 now, Svenne, so...
Oh yeah, he is. Because he's got more than 390 going down this elevator, so he's all good.
Yeah, so that
And
time...
Low health, he picks up the fairy. I think it's a good move. It costs you about 7 seconds picking up that fairy, so...
Right, but the amount of time you can save by using that life somewhere to do an intentional death is a lot more than that, so... It's probably a better use of that life. Or a better use of your life to save yourself with a fairy for now.
Yeah, save your life, capture a fairy.
Yep.
Yeah, So this is the trophy cave in the light. You saw Svenne go here earlier to adjust his experience point total. So this is what the cave looks like, and what you're going through here is in the town of Ruto, where you're going to see Error go next. Someone mentions that this angry red gorilla stole a trophy of theirs, so you have to go and get the trophy back. Once you bring the trophy back to the town of Ruto, you will get access to one of the houses in the game, and you will get access to the jump spell, which is 1, required because this is a 100% category, and 2, required because you need the jump spell to get out or get through the cave below this town, known affectionately as Jump Cave.
I don't think we have a timer on Svenne.
Yeah, he didn't start his timer. I'm going by Error's timer.
The Error is an experienced player with attack 3, so if it was any other player that not experienced playing with attack 3 during Death Mountain, they probably lose a lot of time there.
Yeah, well, he successfully did a Palace 1 Attack 3 in the Best of Ness run.
Yeah, he was the only one.
Yeah, he was the only one. He eventually got his experience fixed up by the time he got to, the next milestone.
So this is the point in the game right now where there's actually going to be a lot of extracurricular activities going on. They're going to be picking up a bunch of spells and other items that are going to make their trek through both the Swamp Palace, which is Palace 2, and the rest of the game a lot easier. So there's probably about 15 to 20 minutes here of just what I refer to as shopping, even though there's no money in this game. They're going to be picking up, they've already got the jump spell, they're going to go pick up 2 more spells, an attack technique, and an overworld item, as well as a couple of hearth containers and magic containers. So the room that you see Error in right now, this is the room where jump is required to get up, because Link can't quite make that jump without the spell.
Got a little unlucky pattern there with the encounter.
Yeah, he has to deal with one in the swamp. Let's see if he can finish the rest of this out. Oh,
he's
good
got back
patterns.
spawn there, so that's good.
Yeah, he's very lucky. You like the enemies to appear far away from you, not close to you, so you want to trigger all these enemies in either the swamp or the grass, because that's when you get the distant spawn instead of the close spawn. And then you've got a pretty decent chance of dodging them. You can usually dodge the first set of encounters that appear pretty easily. It's the second set that appear when you're dodging 2 of them at once that you can get some unusable patterns. And now we're in the water town of Saria. I guess that's what this one is. And this is where you pick up the life spell. One of the nice things about this category, and one of the things that makes it so beginner friendly, is that there's no penalty for picking up the life spell. In fact, you are required to, because it's 100%. And the life spell is going to get a lot of use.
The life spell, just to what it does, obviously it restores your life, but to give you an approximation of what it does, is it's going to restore 3 bars of life, which is the equivalent of a fairy in Zelda 1, which restores 3 hearts. And yes, for those asking in the chat, your commentary team, I am the Greenleaf Effect. With me is Fiesel and Bad Breaks.
I put in the stream title, so now everybody's going to know.
Oh, beautiful.
When's Zelda 2 randomizer is a good question.
I do know that Fred was working on it.
Yeah, it's
Not soon enough. I'm looking forward to that.
Yes, so what you see there, the house that Svenne just went into, inside that house under the table is a mirror. And in addition to finding the mirror, Link actually speaks when you search it and says, "Hey, I found a mirror." You then go give it to that woman that he just spoke to, and that is where you get the life spell.
And that is the
ahead.
only furniture you have to talk to, I think, during the whole
The only
game.
furniture that you talk to?
Yeah.
You could talk to the fireplace in New Kasudo, but Yeah, you don't have to.
Okay.
Yeah, so the person that Error just spoke to make that bridge appear was the Riverman. That is the person you have to give the note to that Bagu gave you when you visited him in his secluded cabin in the woods. And now where Error is he is making his way through Death Mountain, which, unlike in Zelda 1, where it's a nice little overworld area that you just sort of traverse through to get to the final dungeon, Death Mountain here is a interconnecting series of maze-like caves that you have to properly navigate to get to the end of it. At the end, you will find Spectacle Rock. There, we'll find an item that you need to progress in the game, the Hammer.
That's right. The hammer will let you break boulders, which block your path to advancing to other parts of the game. You'll also see it used to chop down a tree later on to reveal New Kasuto Town. Much later, right before Palace 6.
And before anyone in chat asks, no, we still haven't figured out how a hammer can chop down a tree.
It would take a while, but I imagine it could if you sat there for a long time whacking it with a hammer. Well, Error's trying to do Death Mountain with attack 3 instead of 4. It really does make a difference. At that attack level, each one that you get is making a significant difference in the number of hits that it takes to kill enemies. And when you're talking the difference between 3 versus 5 hits for some of these things, that's a big change in your strategy. So he won't be... he will be very happy to finally get attack 4, which will hopefully get soon. Although he doesn't.
It's very easy to forget that it's double hits on and 2 more extra hits on the big enemies there. Because you're so used to having attack 4 in your attempts, and
yeah,
I usually forget, like, I got attack 3. I can't jump into him there.
Right. Yeah, and it makes a big difference as people plan their whole fighting strategy around the number of hits. So if you go in there, taking more hits than you need, it's going to be kind of confusing if you're not used to it. And Error's got Beam Sword to easily take out this room here. And you can take out these jumping things with Beam Sword. Some nice Beam Sword strats.
Those red bats actually has a really big hitbox. I think their hitbox is as big as they are standing while they're flying down there. So it's really easy to hit those with the Beam Sword while flying.
Yep. You saw that when Error is fighting that red Daira there, the Dairas are what these red things are called. Or these axe guys are called, I guess, the red and orange ones. But he had to back up quite a bit because he was spawning very close to the exit, the Daira was. And you don't want to accidentally push it off the screen because it's sort of like the platform ends when you hit the edge of the screen. So if you push an enemy off of it, it's like they fall into a pit and disappear. And that means that you don't count that creature as dead, so next time you come back there, when you backtrack through there, it'll spawn right in front of you, right there in the doorway, and it's very difficult to avoid.
Error now picking up attack 4 at the basically same time that he picks up the hammer. So he's going to be making his way out of Death Mountain now. And you might have saw when he entered this little area right next door, there was a smashable boulder. The first time we're going to use the hammer. This is actually the left-hand side of Spectacle Rock, the same place where Ganon's dungeon was in the original Legend of Zelda. So instead of the dungeon now being there, it's just one tiny little cave with one little remainder left over, one little tiny leftover there in the end of the cave. So it's not nearly as long to go through as it was in Zelda 1.
Here we see him getting the magic jar. All the magic jars are required, not just for this category, but for any category that doesn't use wrong warps. You have to get a certain number of jars to get each of the spells, and the final spell, which is required to beat the game, requires all 8 jars. So, can't skip it.
Error there, ducking into a cave real quick, and all he's doing there is resetting the counters for the overworld enemies. The overworld enemy spawns come in 2 types, a step counter and a universal timer counter. By entering and exiting any of those cave or bridge tiles or anything like that, you reset the encounters back to 0.
And Svenne is a little bit low in health here, so he's probably gonna use his magic to heal up, and it should be enough for a jump there, or else I think he's gonna take a death abuse in the medicine cave coming up.
Yeah, the medicine cave that BB is referring to is in a town a little bit later on. There is an old woman who is looking for some medicine for her sick grandchild. She tasks Link to go and find it. Well, this medicine is hidden a little bit farther away. If you remember that swamp we passed by when we first came out of Jump Cave, there was a boulder there blocking a cave. Inside that cave is where the medicine is hidden. So that's the medicine cave you hear BB referring to.
And Error right there was trying to do the manipulation that should get all the enemies out of your way on your way to this medicine cave. I'm not sure if he did the wrong number of steps. I didn't see 2 sets of monsters spawn. But essentially the idea is you want to... There are some places when you have very long walking distances that you're able to get the step counter and the timer set up, and the time-based counter set up in a way that you can trigger both enemies to appear, both sets of enemies to appear basically at the same time, and dodge them both, and then get them behind you where they can't catch up to you.
I didn't see if anyone picked up the extra life by the graveyard there.
I don't believe either one of them did.
Both skipped them. So you can either take a death abuse here, or if you do in the medicine cave, you just skip the first one in Palace 4. It's depending how, if you're low on health there, you just take it here, or just skip it.
Looks like Svenne is getting the one up before going into Medicine Cave. Typically people get it afterwards because it gets you 2 steps closer, or I guess technically 1 step closer to the grass. And that's just enough time to reach the grass before the enemies start to spawn when you're coming out of this Medicine Cave. As you see Error about to do right here. So now he's going to go straight south, and by the time he gets to the grass, where you can move again, the enemies will spawn. And he got a rather unfortunate pattern, so he got an encounter anyway.
What BB is referring to when he refers to death abuse is in this game you have lives, as you can see when you start the game, and you hear Svenne using it as an example here. You see his Link, in this case X3. What this means is you have 3, 4 lives, whatever. When you reach the end, you get a game over. Game overs in this game have a special occurrence or circumstance. But the death abuse, basically, it's going to be used a lot of times because when you die, 2 things happen. 1, you get warped to the beginning of the room that you are in. And number 2, it gives you a magic and life refill. So you will see a lot of the runners do that.
Yeah, so and the warp saves you about 3.5 seconds. So altogether, I think you save about almost 12 seconds if you do all 3 of them. So not sure if anyone's gonna do all 3 in the race here. They probably skip the one coming up later in P4.
Yep. So now you see, you see Error here in the harbor town of Mido, and here basically what we have is this is where that medicine is going to be utilized. By giving the medicine to the old woman, you'll pick up the fairy spell, which is what you see Error doing right now. But also on top of the roof of this church is a legendary knight, as you were, and he teaches Link probably the most broken attack move I know in this game, and probably in Smash Brothers 2, the down stab.
Yep, it's pretty simple. You just press down whenever Link is in the air, and you can stab. One of the really nice things about it, well, not only the fact that you can bounce off of enemies' heads in order to bypass them or to kill them quickly, you can do this technique called jackhammer, or the yak hammer, which basically what happens is you can press, every time you press down on the D-pad, you're going to get the sword to swing downwards. And there's really no limit, there's no cooldown time on it. So you can do it as fast as 30 hertz, you know, as fast as you can mash down on the D-pad, you can strike with your sword. So anytime you can get Link to get into an enemy's hitbox, just mash away on the D-pad, and you can get essentially rate unlimited hits.
I think Svenne picked up some time there between the fairy town and the
sure
hammer.
Looked like he did, because he was...
Probably around 20 seconds, I would guess.
I like the comment just made its way into the chat. So this race is determining who goes to AGDQ to play Z2, right?
This match is actually the winner of this match, and if I win my next match, I'm gonna meet the winner of this one. think.
We can look up the brackets, but as you saw there, Error took a quick pit stop on the way to the Swamp Palace and picked up a heart container. But the big thing of note there is you saw him actually use the fairy spell to do so. Now, the fairy spell is very utilitarian in nature. One is it allows Link to actually move at his full speed from the minute you start moving with fairy, whereas a normal walking Link takes a little bit of time to get his full speed going. Number two, and kind of obvious, it flies. So if there's large pits you need to get over, like certain pits in Palace 6, for example, you can fly right over them. Number three, and the reason you see both runners using it to pick up items, is that when Link picks up an item, he has to hold it over his head high and exclaim to everybody that he got a thing. In fairy mode, however, there is no animation for that, so the fairy just picks it up and keeps on going. So welcome to Palace 2. This is the Swamp Palace.
Overlay.
And this would be a wonderful time to change the overlay.
Already done. Yeah, so getting in and out of the Swamp Palace is pretty tricky because you move kind of slowly in the swamp and there's monsters that are going to spawn. So being able to dodge them in the swamp is pretty difficult. You saw a bit of a setup the way those guys walked as they were entering the swamp, and that gets you maybe about halfway or so. But to some extent it's luck how you do for the rest of that. So that's one of the first places where you're going to lose time to RNG in a run.
Another thing of note here is Palace 2 is where you're going to start to see the runners, when they enter the palace, stab at the Iron Knuckle statue at the beginning of the palace. In Palaces 1, 2, and 5, that is going to yield a red jar always. In Palaces 3, 4, 6, and 7, it is a or 3, 4, and 6 for the Iron Knuckle statue, but 7 counts as well for this in other instances. There is a 50% chance of that statue spawning a red jar, and a 50% chance of it spawning a red Iron Knuckle. The same is true for other statues throughout the palaces. Some of them are Iron Knuckle statues, some of them are the little gargoyle horse heads you see on the walls. But the percentages do ring true. In 1, 2, and 5, it is a 100% chance, and in 3, 4, 6, and 7, it is 50-50.
Error made the bridge. That's one of the most scary part of the run, for at least for new runners starting.
Yep, it's very tricky. That
The bot bridge there.
Right, bot plus lava pit. Bot being one of the most unpredictable enemies. They're not particularly powerful, but they're really hard to read. Most of the other enemies in this game behave extremely predictably. For those bots, there's just no telling when they're going to jump, which direction they're going to jump in. They might just sit there and bait you until you get close, and then they jump. I mean, there's no end to the trolling you see from bots in these races.
You really only have two options there, and like, either you stop and wait for them, or you go and never let go. If you hesitate in the jump in there or something, you're definitely gonna fall down there. I think Svenne is coming up to that spot we talks about.
Alright, so we're going to see Error casting Fairy again here to get this glove. Again, to save a little bit of time. He's kind of low in experience. We probably won't see him take a magic level and refill his magic, but you don't really need any more magic for this palace. You just gotta hope that you don't take so much damage that you can't safely fight Helmet Head. Helmet Head can be a little bit risky if you don't have a lot of health, but I think both of these guys are pretty used to fighting all the bosses here.
Absolutely. And and the MOAs that Fiesel mentioned earlier, that orange eyeball, floating eyeball above Link's head on Error's screen, that is a MOA.
Mm-hmm. It's part of the
flying eyeballs.
Yeah, flying eyeball. Yep. And that is one of the drainers, one of the enemies that drains your experience if you hit it.
Yeah, Error did pick up a jar drop there from that Stalfo, so he should be good going into the Helmet Head fight.
Yeah, good on magic, but he's probably a bit more concerned with experience at this point. I would say he's kind of on the low side, 1460 at this point.
You can see there was another spawn on the Stalfos in the third little room there. I really don't know what triggers that spawn. Sometimes he spawns, sometimes he don't.
Third Stalfos, yeah, it has to do with how many bullets are on the screen, how many projectiles from those heads at the time that you scroll the Stalfos' spawn point on the screen.
Yeah, so it should probably be there all the time, but the bullets despawn him.
Right, yeah, and it also has to do, I think, sometimes with which way the other skeletons move if you don't skip them. But sometimes even if you kill the skeletons, you'll still get the... Oh man, Error is killing one of these skull bubbles. This is a real hard-fought 50 points. He's very screwed on XP.
50 hits, I think.
Yeah, well, in attack 4 it's not so bad. But it's only worth 50 points for a lot of stoppage, so he's definitely scraping the bottom of the barrel here. There's not a lot of experience left for him, though, so he doesn't have many choices here.
I wonder if it still has a drop, but
I think he does.
If he gets a jar, he might be screwed, though.
Right, he's going to snag this free 100 bag, and there's, what, like 4 more large enemies, so he's going to get a drop.
No, he should be fine.
Hopefully. I think he needs the 200 bag to be good.
He gets it, now
he's fine.
He actually needed that bag. I did the calculation there.
Yeah, very nice drop there. He's got to be pleased with getting that, especially after the experience issues he had in Palace 1.
If he would have gotten jar there, he wouldn't be able to take attack 6 leaving this palace, so that is really bad.
That's really bad. Yeah, you can make up the experience that you miss if you don't get the attack level you want in Palace 1, but beyond that, the attack levels start to get so expensive that there just isn't enough natural experience laying around to be able to get the attack levels that you need to finish the game at 8 something something.
Oh wait, 200. I think he had exactly enough if he got the jar anyways there. I think that's why he killed that skull bubble, so he had that under control.
Yeah, so Error making short work of Helmet Head there, and as he's leveling up all the way to get to attack 6, Svenne is entering Helmet Head's room. So probably about 30 seconds behind, give or take, depending on the Helmet Head kill. Or as I've been calling him recently, Howie Mandel, or for you younger kids in the audience, Voldemort. So that was a very nice kill there on Helmet Head. Meanwhile, you see Error now is unfortunately getting the troll ferry there heading into the desert south of the north of the graveyard. Say hi to King's Tomb and bye to King's Tomb. All it does really in this game is serve as a landmark. And how you know that's supposed to serve as a landmark is because there's a gentleman in the town of Ruto whose name is Error, yeah, I know, who tells you that south of King's Tomb there's a cave. This cave is going to lead you to an island in the middle of nowhere that houses Palace 3, the Island Palace.
Error seems to have had better luck than Svenne with the swamp encounters on his way out.
Yeah, this is one of the places you can lose a lot of time. You can easily lose 25 seconds extra on that walk to the tomb there.
Alright, so Error is 612 coming in here, which is fine. There's enough experience here for him. He might, I don't know what he's going for, but a lot of people will go for 633 here, or maybe 634.
He might even skip Magic 3.
Yeah, he might even skip Magic 3. That's a possibility. I like to get Magic 3 here because having a Magic refill is nice. So you can cast Jump in 2 spots and Fairy for the item. And now we have Svenne is in Palace 3 now, so both of these runners not too far away from each other.
I think Svenne gained up some time because Error had to kill basically everything in Palace 2 to get his experience. That's when he could just skip everything, almost.
Meanwhile, you did see Svenne there as he entered Palace 3, stab at the Iron Knuckle statue, and it did in fact spawn an Iron Knuckle. So that was what I was referring to earlier with those statues. And you can also see there as he got hit by that tin suit, he did lose 10 experience. Just proof of concept.
I actually find that spot to be one of the best grind spots in the early game. Just keep entering and exiting Palace 3, and just keep fighting whatever appears from that statue.
That is probably the best spot.
Right, because you can't do it in Palace 1 because there's nothing in the statue. You can't do it in Palace 2 because Palace 2 has guaranteed red jar drops. So Palace 3, once you get there, it's just like 100 experience every other time you re-enter, and you're constantly getting red jars to refill your health and magic with.
Yep. So if you're...
Go ahead.
I was going to say, so if you're just playing this game casually at home and you're having trouble, that's the place to do it.
Yep. And we just saw Jackhammer from Error. It's pretty easy to do to the Iron Knuckles in these 3-block-high rooms. These 3-block-high hallways. You just, once you get above the thing's hitbox, you're sort of held into the perfect position to start mashing down. And, oh man, Error did not have enough for jump or fairy. So he took a bath.
He should be fine though. He didn't take the death abuse in the medicine cave, so he still has.
Did he get the graveyard heart
later on? So
he did not.
He did not get the graveyard heart. So he has one he has no additional lives if he plans to take all three of the deaths in Palace 4.
Yeah, we'll probably see him skip the first one. That's the one you want to skip it.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the item you saw Error pick up right there before his unfortunate lava bath was the raft. And the raft has the exact same function here as it does in Zelda 1. You walk off a dock and you sail to a location. Unlike in Zelda 1 where it takes you directly to level 4, here in Zelda 2 it takes you to the other half of the continent, which then takes you to level 4.
Alright, here we see Error digging a staircase pattern in that block room. Pretty important to make a good formation to get out, because you don't have upstab, so you don't have a lot of options for getting out of that, being buried in the blocks if you happen to dig your way in an awkward way.
I've seen Error do a little different strats than everyone else. He usually only break the first block on the first two to the right there, so when he goes back up, he kind of do like a crouch stab and break the last block while jumping up there. But yeah, this time he did the both blocks. So.
Yep. I think that's kind of awkward when you're coming out because you've got to dodge those heads. So I would rather just front load all the work that I have to do. Well, we see Error standing in the correct spot to do the quick kill here. He's going to get one hit as he goes by, and now he's going to get him pinned against the left side of the screen and down stab. And now you gotta hope, it's a little random here, you gotta hope that the Iron Knuckle goes underneath your sword. You see that he's not going to, but there, he finally eventually makes his way under.
And for those wondering, the name of that boss was Rebonak.
The worst thing he can do is, if you fall off on the right of him there and he leaves the screen to the left, the best thing to do is just stand still and try to jump up on him again, because if you move right there, he's gonna follow you, but once you go back against him, he's gonna back off all the time. So it's really hard to get some hits in there. So just stand still in the corner and try to get up on him again there.
And now we see Svenne in the same place. He doesn't manage to get the initial hit, but fortunately that's not all that important. The important thing is getting the Iron Knuckle to stop in the right spot, which, just due to some bad RNG, Iron Knuckle went right after coming off his horse, so he had to fight him the normal way. And now we see the raft getting used here on Error's screen. And these are some tricky encounters to dodge, the ones in the grasslands as soon as you get off the raft. A lot of people running into encounters here, myself included. Oh, hates him. Look at that.
So this town here that Error is entering, this is the town of Naburu, and this is the town that I have the biggest issue with in this game. Because you get the fire spell in this town, which is fine, but that's not the thing I have the issue with. What I have the issue with is, in order to get the fire spell, what you have to do is you have to go over to this fountain, pick up some water, and give it to the woman who lives 20 feet away from the fountain. She's too lazy to go get her own water. That's what you have to do to get a spell in this game.
Yeah.
And Error didn't even ask you if she was thirsty. He kind of knew. He just went for a water straight away. And this is the only time it's faster to leave it to the right after you pick up your spell.
That's right, the towns are usually about 3 screens long, and this one, you go into this house on the right side of the middle screen, so that's why you're going to the right.
I like the King Hippo's response in chat to the crazy woman. She's gonna be blind.
That's gotta be it.
So I think Svenne is about, I'd say, 50 seconds behind, 1 minute. Usually take about 1 minute, 20 seconds picking up, go into town and pick up the fire. I think I timed that. So.
Alright, Error's got some manipulations to do here. Fortunately, coming out of this cave, the manipulation is pretty easy. He got 2 fairy spawns, though, which are harder to work with.
There, but
He got through okay. So yeah, following what you saw Error do right there, write it down. That's if you play Zelda 2 and don't know how to handle that part, that's textbook solution to that encounter problem.
Also worth to mention, if you get a fairy spawn and don't try to get it, just stand still and make it come to you. If you're trying to get it, you won't get it.
So what Error just picked up there was the kidnapped child. You need to rescue the kidnapped child from the Lizalfos in this cave, and then bring the child back to the mountain town of Darunia, which is where we're going to be heading momentarily. But this is another part of the game where Nintendo decided they're going to have a little fun with you, because as you can see, you enter this location. This is called Maze Island, and as you're walking towards Maze Island, you see there's a palace sitting right there. So I know a lot of people, myself included, would do if I came this way first and didn't go to Darunia and I didn't know about the kid, I see this palace like, all right, let's go, let's run for it. Which is all fine and dandy until you get to the end of the palace and realize you don't have the capability of beating the boss, because in order to defeat the boss of Palace 4, you require the Reflect spell. In order to get the Reflect spell, you have to rescue the kid and bring him back to Darunia.
And Error did a manipulation called the Dazzle there, which takes you all the way from the 1-up doll to the encounter there.
And
at the
beautiful
end. So
encounter skips.
Skip the 4th encounter also, so it's really good. The most consistent manipulation in the game.
It's pretty consistent. Sometimes it goes wrong, but most of the time it works. And it's, you just gotta watch that path. There's really not much to it. You see, Sven is about to do it. He's picking up the 1-up, and you wait here until the music gets to the point where the monsters are just about to appear. Oh, he waited a little too late. You want to move the moment the monsters appear. You don't want to go too soon, because if you move into the forest when the monsters trigger, then they're going to spawn really close to you. But just enough so the monsters appear while you're still standing on that 1-up tile, and then you start moving and just walk the path that you saw Error walk back there, and it should work for you every time.
And the reason you wait there is just to get the timer spawn on the grass, all the way to the left there.
And speaking of Error over in Darunia, what you guys just saw him do is known as the Darunia Super Jump. It is a pixel-perfect jump where you jump into the roof of that house. You will then clip into the roof if you do it correctly. The game will then eject you upwards, which gives you just enough height to get onto the roof, so you can enter through the chimney and go talk to the legendary knight who will teach you the upstab. If you don't do it that way, there is a house that's a little bit shorter you can jump on, and you can go roof to roof to roof. In addition, now Error is returning the kidnapped child and going to talk to the wise man in the basement to pick up the Reflect spell.
Yeah, and Svenne is also coming up to that jump very soon here. Did Error got it in first try?
I believe it was a first try super jump.
That's good. When I got in three jumps, that's not bad.
3's not bad. I think that's probably the limit for what most of the high-level runners consider acceptable.
Yeah.
It's tough to get it the first time, but you should get it the second time, and if not the second time, you should get it the third time, because it's not that hard to do.
You can do 7 jumps there until you start losing time. You can do it the normal way. Go to the roofs and jump up on the houses. 7 jumps there.
Well, Error had to do the something like a slink move. It depends which pattern you get, whether you need to slink or not. But that's did not work out in his favor, unfortunately. And now he's boss buffering at every spot to figure out where the encounters are going to appear.
Yeah, sometimes you can listen to the music, but that last time encounter there could be a little tricky. So.
Yeah. Generally, people who are more experienced will know if they get an encounter in this spot, where is the next one going to appear. But it could be kind of tricky if you're getting an encounter someplace that you're not used to it. And we see Error using the fairy to pick up the magic jar, which is it restores your magic, so you may as well cast fairy if you have enough for it. And Svenne gets the second encounter skip as well, so he's in good shape. Let's see if he can do the reverse dazzle walk here. Ooh, good patterns from those monsters. Does manage to snag a fairy.
But considering the life he was at, it's not a bad fairy to get.
Yeah,
There.
he's probably not too upset about that one. And he manages to get onto Maze Island without another encounter, so that's good. The only reason you wouldn't want to get a fairy there is because that resets the encounter timers and the encounter step counter, which you might be counting on in order to skip encounters, but he was close enough that it didn't matter.
Yep.
Palace 4, there's a lot of experience that you really don't need in here, so you're going to see a lot of enemies skipped.
The big thing with Palace 4 isn't going to be experience, it's going to be magic power manipulation, because there are several uses of different spells you're going to see throughout the palace, and magic jars are a little bit hard to come by. So if they can get the magic jars, you probably won't see nearly as many death abuses, but if they have poor luck when it comes to getting red jars off the statues, this is going to be where you're going to see death abuse. It's going to be in these rooms you see Error in, these long lava bridge rooms.
And Error skipped that death abuse there just because they took a death in Palace 3.
That's right. This is, as Badbreak said, this is the one to skip if you are going to skip one. Because there's a red jar that you can go for. He happened to get it, but that's a 50-50 shot. Even if he hadn't gotten the red jar, there'll be another place coming up a few screens from now where he can take another death, and that will refill his magic.
Yeah, that wasn't a red jar. That was actually a magic level up he got.
Oh, it wasn't a red jar. Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. Thanks.
Yeah, not a problem.
But yeah, that is a spot where you could get a red jar. So a lot of people like to skip that death.
So the item you see Error grabbing right here, these are the boots. Now what these what these boots do is these basically allow Link to go Jesus mode. They allow you to walk on certain tiles of water. So you'll see that coming up as you leave Palace 4 because you need to walk on water to get to Palace 5. Yeah, and you guys thought Ocarina of Time Link had all the weird, strange items. No, they started here.
Let's see if Error is updated on the new strats here on the bridge.
Oh, you think he's going to do the backside? I don't think that he's going to.
I actually saw Jane lost the run today on trying to do that.
So the thing we're talking about is instead of killing that red Stealth Knight, technically, instead of killing the red Stealth Knight, you jump over him. You jump in front of him and then jump over him, and there's this tiny, it's like 2 pixels you can land on the far side of him right before the edge of the ledge there, and you just jump right past without slowing down. But Error's playing it safe, doesn't want an accidental death here. He didn't even take the intentional death there, which a lot of people might have, but I'm certain that he'll take the last intentional death in here, in the final lava room, because you need to get your magic refilled in order to fight Carrick. You have to cast Reflect in order to beat that boss, and generally that's the only reliable way to get your magic refilled for the boss is to take a death.
I think in a tournament setting, it's good to skip that one also there. It's 1 life for 3.5 seconds, so it's really doesn't make that much difference.
Yep, in mine I skipped the first 2 deaths and only took the 3rd one. But
Yeah, you had like 5 lives.
Yeah, I had a lot of lives. So
So, Karok that they're referring to is basically a giant boss Wizrobe. Wizrobes you have been seeing throughout this dungeon, they are the things that have been appearing and disappearing. And Wizrobes got an upgrade in the 6 years between Zelda 1 and Zelda 2, in Hyrule anyway, the 6 years between them, because Wizrobes now are immune to your sword. So the only way to defeat both the regular Wizrobes and Karok is to cast Reflect and reflect their beams back onto them. Which is funny because in the original Legend of Zelda, the magic wand which shot the Wizrobe beams was ineffective against them.
Alright, you see Error getting that ceiling key. He didn't use upstab for it, even though he has upstab, because it's just slightly faster to glitch into the ceiling to hit that block, but that is the spot where you're meant to use upstab. I think that's the only required place, quote-unquote required place for upstab in this run, in this game. And for once, it looks like we have two players in the same spot, but no, they're just at different copies of that same room.
Because after a while, the level designers got lazy. He said, I like the design of this room. Let's just use it over and over and over.
Yep.
And let's just give it different colors.
Yeah, exactly. You'll notice after a while that you see the same formations repeated, just with different tile sets.
Yeah, let's give it a different color and put different enemies in there and call it good. And you were correct, Error. It does take the third death abuse here.
There he goes. So now he's got full magic. He should be all set on everything. Well, wait, he needs 800. He needs 800 to get the palace bonus. So he is going to get 301 from Carrick, and yeah, that's plenty. That's plenty. He just needs 115 more experience, which he should easily get.
Yeah, he got 2 iron knuckles, red iron knuckles coming up also. So he's fine. It's a little gamble doing the downstab on that stealthful knight there. The blue one. Sometimes he jumps and sometimes he don't, so... I don't know why. It's probably frame-based when he enters the room.
So on this first hit, you see him duck, and that is one guaranteed hit. If you walk in there and don't lose any time as you're walking into the room, then if you duck at the spot right in front of Carrick, you'll get that first hit for free. And after that, it's completely up to the RNG gods. That right there looked like it was a pretty average fight. Maybe a little better than average.
Yeah, a little better than average, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely not the worst Karok I've seen during this tournament.
No, we've seen some bad ones. And it does not matter what your attack level is. That boss always takes exactly the same number of hits. Him and Dark Link are unique in that they're not dependent on your attack level. So, unfortunately, because that's one of the things you have the least control over in this game is that boss fight. There's nothing you can do about that. Oh man, Senna had a near-death experience.
Wow.
Yeah,
watch out.
Yeah, and
usually when you get hit with one of those mutes, you have a little bit time to. You always will land on the block after, because if you jump into him, there's always going to be a block there, but you have to react pretty fast. So.
And what you saw Error do there is he walked directly into Palace 5.
And the reason he's doing that is because he is setting up for something as he's leaving Palace 5 known as the River Dance. And I'm not going to get into that because someone else here can do it much better than I can.
We have the inventor of the River Dance in the call tonight. So.
Yep.
Did you invent that, Fiesel?
What? No, I thought you did. I don't mean the name, I mean the actual thing.
Yeah. So we can explain it when we get there.
Yep, we sure will. And I didn't see how fast that Carrick fight was in Sven's screen.
It was on the below average side of things. It looked like he went in a little too fast and missed the first hit. But of note, the key you just saw Error pick up there, that's a very trolly key, because in order to get through that room you need to cast Fairy. However, you can't pick up keys as Fairy, so you have to get to the end of the room, turn back in a normal size Link, walk all the way back, pick up the key, and then continue on through Palace 5.
I think that it's pretty nice of them to put a door there to the right in the room after, so you're gonna notice if you forget the key there. Like if the door was at the end of the palace, that would be terrible.
Alright, this falling block room that Error is in is quite chaotic. You don't know what pattern those blocks are going to fall in, but you need to get at least 2 of them. If you're casting jump, you need to get at least 2 of them stacked on top of each other. And then you can jump from those up to get that key, assuming the blocks are stacked in a convenient spot. And all the while, more blocks are dropping, and that Moa is coming back and forth, looking to hit you and drain your experience, so pretty tricky.
Yep. And the correct answer on the pattern you're going to get from those blocks, it's whichever pattern costs you the most amount of time.
And there's Svenne going back for that key. Doesn't make the turnaround quite fast enough, so he takes a hit there. Those skulls will drain your experience, or I mean, not drain your magic, rather.
He might be in trouble if he takes some more hits on the skull bubbles coming up there, because he won't afford to cast jump then. Takes 2 hits, I think.
Yeah, I believe he's right at the minimum, so it's 2 boxes of magic to be able to cast jump here.
And the backup strat for that would be go through the room and pick up the ore in the head and go back. So that is a huge time loss.
That's like 25 seconds maybe lost going all the way out there and then back again.
So you don't want to get hit by the skull bubble here because they drain magic, and he should be good.
Let's see. I want to see him cast it.
We're all waiting.
He cannot. Look, he would have by now. He would have if he could have.
He actually took 2 damage on the first bubble there. So.
Oh, poor Svenne. He's got some problems.
He's gonna wait for it.
Yeah, but even waiting for it, you gotta still hope you get a good pattern here. There we go. He gets it. That could have been really awful.
Sometimes it's better to go for Yor, and sometimes you just wait there, because sometimes the blocks always fall to the left side, and there's really not much you can do there. It's probably faster to just wait for the blocks, though.
Probably. The item you saw Error Fairy to pick up there, that is the flute. Not to be confused with the plunger that it looks like. It is, in fact, a musical instrument. Now, what the flute is going to do is it has 2 purposes here in Zelda 2. The first one is to clear the River Demon out of the way, and we'll get to the River Demon a little bit later. But for those who are basically wondering if you've played Pokemon, think Snorlax. The second function of the flute is it causes Palace 6 to appear, the hidden palace, and we'll see how that works again when we get there.
An Error is getting close to the most important trick in the game.
Oh yeah, he's gonna have to reset if he doesn't get this. Let's see.
If you don't get it, the run is over technically.
What did you think of that?
And he gets it.
Does that meet your standards? Okay. Bad Break's been very critical of some people's key grabs there.
Yep.
Alright, we got a red jar hidden here. This is one of the lesser known red jars, but people who do 100% all keys, they know about that red jar. But it's hidden in a block up there, but sometimes you can even break the block and not get the red jar to drop. You actually need to strike that whole spot from the side instead of the bottom. And we got Svenne doing a jackhammer and picking up the plunger with Fairy.
This Magus is also a really good spot to farm if you go on. They give you 200. Oh, and I think it is 3 of them in each room, so it's a lot of experience.
The Magos that BB is referring to, those are the orange kraut-robed things that are doing the Wizrobe teleport, but instead of shooting beams of magic at you, they're putting fire on the ground. And unlike the Wizrobes, Magos are not immune to your sword. They are weak to being stabbed to death.
And they're not part of the 6 count, unlike the Wizrobes. So that means you can kill them without messing up your 6 count, if you happen to have that
making
planned
a
out.
little slash there before going down and reset the pattern on the skull bubble so it goes lower.
Yeah, talking about slashing the wall right before you go down an elevator. Yeah, changes the skull bubble spawn patterns.
Somehow.
Yeah, we're not quite sure why it works, but it definitely works.
Because RN Jesus said so.
Yeah.
Looks like both players have more than enough experience here. You need to walk into a boss fight with 700 XP, and they're already both well above that. Going back for the red jar, look at that.
Prez actually pointing out something that's going to be a little bit interesting here, pointing out Sven's XP total here, and calling him out to watch out for the soft lock potential. And the soft lock Prez is referring to is if you happen to level up on the exact frame where you exit a screen, you will soft lock the game.
Oh, did Svenne get the key grab also? That is very important.
Chat saying 5 out of 5 on the key grab.
So that's good. So both runs are valid now. That's good.
And that boss you just saw Error handle quite nicely was Boss Guma.
Yep, there's some new strats for fighting him. Well, I mean, ones that are relatively recently being added to players' repertoire, but you can jackhammer Guma. It's kind of risky, but in this category, you come in there with the shield spell equipped and full magic and full life, usually. So it's plenty safe to be able to start trying some crazy things, or at least try to, and then fall back to a more reasonable fighting strategy if it doesn't work.
I think you can try like 2 times, and then you should probably.
You could probably take about 4 hits if you come in there with shield and full life. Plus, then you can cast the life spell and take a few more. So
and here's Error doing the river dance here. So.
Oh, he's doing the river dance, but
and he got a bad spawn. So let's check on Svenne when he do it. Maybe try to explain it.
So I'm told that if you hesitate a little bit, you can avoid that happening.
Yeah. Like, oh, you only have to stop for a frame there.
Alright, let's see if he does cave backup strats. He does. So this is another way of setting up, resetting the monster timer for one thing, and then setting up so you might get monsters spawning at the right spot to do the fence skip. But it looks like he got the early spawn, so he doesn't get a fence skip here. That's a
so the river dance is when you leave the heart. After picking up the heart, you taking an extra step in the water. It doesn't matter where you take it, as long as you take that extra step. That sets up so you spawn the timed encounter on the road, so you can go all the way down to the river monster. I get a perfect timing for the encounter skip there.
That's right. This is somewhat similar to the setup that we saw going into the medicine cave. You're walking a long distance.
Svenne doing it now, though.
Yep, so he's going to go up here, get the heart container, and then on the way back you're going to see him take 2 extra steps. And then you, hopefully, if he knows the full trick, you'll see him hesitate for just a moment. And that should avoid the encounter on the path that Error got. Oh, Error's having to do some dodging there, and it looks like he doesn't quite make it. He'll probably get one more encounter before he gets into the Tektite cave. Or he might get in. Nope. Another encounter.
Just got clipped.
Alright, so on Svenne's screen, you're going to see an extra step. There it was. The extra 2 steps there. And you'll see him just duck into the grass for just a moment to spawn the monsters. And he gets a good pattern, so he should be set. Now he uses the plunger to unclog the drain and gets the fence skip. Looks like a giant hairball clogging the drain.
It really does.
Yeah, and that was a perfect river dance there, with no stopping at all.
That's right, 5 out of 5.
That's a perfect spawn there.
Absolutely. So Error now has used the hammer to cut down a tree, and this is New Kasuto Town. Now, New Kasuto Town is interesting because unlike the other towns in the game where you either got 1 or potentially 2 little trinkets and tidbits here, in Kasuto you get 3. The first thing we're going to pick up here is another spell for our repertoire. This is the spell named Spell. So, yeah, very creative. But then immediately after picking up the spell, you're going to head over a couple of screens, and there's going to be a screen here in town that's got nothing there. However, if you cast the spell on that screen, it will cause a shrine to appear. Inside said magic shrine is the magic key. And since this is 100% all keys, and the magic key is a key, we kind of have to pick it up. The final item we're going to be picking up here in New Kasuto is the last magic container. So New Kasuto Town grants us with 3 goodies to pick up.
The magic key is probably the hardest item to find because in Palace 6 there are locked doors, but there are no keys in there.
So you're probably going to get to Palace 6.
You have to ferry and take deaths to just brute force through that dungeon.
Right, or you might just end up extremely confused. But yeah, it's not like you go around just casting spell on every single screen until something happens. So I'm not sure. There must be some clue someplace. I don't know anymore what the clues are.
I don't know if who NPC is that says it, or
there's got to be somebody who says that.
Probably. Press will know in chat.
Yeah, Prez will let us know eventually. And the reason you see Error casting Fairy to pick up both the key and the magic container here is because, one, it's faster, and two, whenever you pick up a magic jar, you get a free magic refill, so casting Fairy there is basically free. Prez, you're going to let them know which NPC tells you to cast the spell in New Kasuto to get the shrine to appear to get the magic key.
Alright, see Error entering the Tektite cave. He's not going to cast fire. We've seen a couple people use fire in this cave, and I like it. But he's going to go old school here. And now let's see if he does the slink. This is a really tricky area to avoid encounters in, because it's forest. He gets a good spawn, and for the second one, he's got to do some work, but it looks like... Nope, did not quite finish it out. Relatively favorable patterns, but it's really tricky getting past the second set of monsters. And so now we hear this, we're about to see this second use of the plunger right here to make this palace appear.
So, welcome to Palace 6, the Magenta Palace. I mean, the Hidden Palace.
With the new overlay.
Already done, my friend.
Okay.
Yeah, see, this isn't like doing commentary with Prez. Fiesel's on top of it.
Sometimes, except when I'm not.
I'm trying to compliment you here. Let it happen.
All right.
Let it happen.
Okay, will he cast jump here? He will. So, yeah, if you fall down this pit, it's not the end of the world. You just have to fall down 3 more screens to get back where you are. There's an infinite loop of screens that you can fall through here if you fall in that pit. But, yeah, he just casts jump so that he doesn't have to take any chances. It is possible to make that 4-block gap to jump over that without the jump spell, but...
Yeah, I've stopped doing... I stopped using jump there, because if you make that jump without using the spell there, you have exactly enough of magic to finish off the castle.
Yep, that's why I do too, because as long as you don't get hit by that...
take a damage on the skull bubbles.
That skull that we just passed. Yeah, that's the only thing that can go wrong. But other than that, yeah, you can cast jump twice in this room, once for each direction to get over the giant hidden pit that Error just jumped over there. And then another jump at the boss and 2 fairies in required spots. That's exactly 8 bars worth of magic. We're going to see the quick kill. Well, hopefully we'll see the quick kill here. He's standing in the right spot for it-ish. And that is honestly the best version of the quick kill I've seen all day, so nice job, Error.
Nice.
Wasn't 100% clean, but that's still way better than the ones we saw in the race earlier today.
And the item that Rebanak was guarding is the cross. Now what the cross item is going to allow you and us to do is there are certain locations in the game that enemies are invisible. The cross allows us to see them. That's it. That's really what it does. Nothing special. You can't throw it like a boomerang. This is not the game for that. So, yep. We're just going to sit there and see enemies. That's all.
So now Error is a little short on magic, so he has to get at least one more box of magic to make to have enough for the jump spell on
Where did he lose the magic?
He used to jump over the pit there, so...
It's okay to use jump over that pit. Oh, you mean the first pit, the first pit,
he has
right.
1 box short of magic.
Yeah.
There's some places you can get a blue jar in one of the rooms. There's a lot of small encounters. I guess he's gonna go for the red jar here, probably.
He could. He's not going for it, it looks like. That's taking a bit of a risk, because you do have to cast magic in order to get it. Need to cast jump. But it looks like he's just going for it. Let's see if he manages to get a blue jar in this next room.
The other thing you can do is take a death abuse in the lava here, but
That's slow.
He already took all this. So if he get really unlucky, he could get a P back here.
Well, looks like he didn't kill enough of those.
I think he's just gonna go and fight Barba normal here.
Yeah, it's not too bad fighting Barba without jump, but oh wow,
Or we can just get a red jar and call it good.
everything's fixed. Well,
I think that drop is set intentionally because of the fire strats you do on the Tektites going to the hidden town. So he sets up that drop there.
yep. I also set up a drop for that spot, but you don't need to kill the Tektites for it necessarily. But yeah, with his plan, it looks like you do.
It's good to have a backup
Yes.
drop there.
It's very good. Yeah, because you can't one cycle. Well, I don't know. Maybe you can. Can you one cycle Barba without the jump spell? I guess you
Yeah,
could
you
if you
can do some
jackhammer.
crazy up stab if you hit him all the time, and then you need to have some precise jumps with the double hits.
And we see Svenne going for that red jar that we were
That was a
talking
really
about.
good kill.
And yeah, Error got an excellent quick kill right there.
And Svenne gets the jar.
Wow, things are going really well for both our players right now. And here is the fourth and final required use of the fairy spell to get into this little gap, which is the solution to this palace, getting in that little gap there.
Yes, what Press saying, you can also do a jumpless jackhammer. It's requires a little bit of more timing as you jump up on the head.
It's a little trickier.
Yeah.
But you can do it.
So when he gets a blue jar there, so he's all set for the...
Oh, beautiful jackhammer on Barba there.
It depends how we pick up this key. And Svenne falls down in the lava. So that is
That's quite a
trouble.
setback. He didn't even need that magic refill.
So he's on his last life now.
Yep.
So I'm not sure if we're gonna see a jackhammer. Jackhammer with your last life is always scary.
You're getting a free cast of fairy going across this bridge because you are about to see him take magic 7, and now he's going to cancel, so now he's got 5,500 out of 6,000 experience. That means earning 500 more experience will give him a shot at magic level 8, which he'll take. But he's going to put that off till the end of Death Mountain so that he can cast all the spells that he wants to. Sorry, Death Mountain. Valley of Death. So that he can cast all the spells that he wants to in Valley of Death, and then take that magic 8 as he's entering Great Palace and go in there with full magic.
Yep. So now you see Error entering Old Kasuto Town. And this is where Kasuto originally was. However, Ganon's hordes overran it. So most of the people decided they were going to go through a cave and hide their village in a forest where you can only get to it by using a hammer to cut down a tree. Anyway, that purple moa you see, that is only visible through use of the cross. However, here in Old Kasuto Town, you do get the final spell of the game, the Thunder spell. And as Fiesel was mentioning earlier, it is required to defeat the game because the penultimate boss of the game, Thunderbird, is invulnerable to damage until you cast Thunder.
Here is Svenne coming up for a Barba fight. It's gonna be...
Oh, look at this.
It's interesting to see if we're gonna go for the jackhammer or...
He just went for something that I haven't seen anywhere in a race yet. He went for this highly questionable one up here. This is a very hard thing to get cleanly.
It's a good backup if you have the magic.
Yep.
That was actually pretty good.
It's probably worth getting it. He has another option of getting one in the swamp, which
What I would do in a race, I would take attack 9 after.
Oh, to get the one up from that.
Get the one up. Once you maxed out one of the levels, you can get extra life for 9,000 experience. So that is also a backup strat.
That was an interesting kill on Barba there. Did you see that?
Yep.
Yes, right.
So Error, meanwhile, is in the Valley of Death, and there are going to be a lot of encounter skips you're going to see them doing because these encounters with the overworld enemies are much shorter than any of the forced encounter tiles here in the Valley of Death. The other thing you're going to notice is that the MOAs are turning into bits and bots. Bots being the blue ones, bits being the red ones if they turn into them. That is through use of the spell. It's the other use that it has.
So this is the only 8-bit game that has too many bits, I think.
I know somewhere in here, Rep is in here, and he's going to give us bits or sweeties.
Yeah, so that's one of the ways that people deal with this encounter, just turning those MOAs into bots. You might see people just ferry through this. You might see people not cast anything and just do it au naturel, you know, just not even waste any magic doing there, but that's highly risky strat to do. I also like casting Jump there, because I think it makes it a bit easier. And Jump is so cheap at this point. But now we're into the Great Palace.
Which would be another great time for a background change.
It sure would.
Had to get it in at least once. Also, I know we've been listening to the soundtrack on loop here, but if you haven't been paying attention, The Great Palace is by far the best music in this game.
According to TGE.
It's just my humble and correct opinion.
It probably is the best track. Who knows?
So does Error have any lives to spare right now, or what?
I believe he does.
I think he did skip 2 in Palace 4, so he should have 1 extra.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
he had unintentional death in 3 and 1 death abuse in 4, so he should be okay.
Okay. So yeah, that's a good position to be in here, coming in with mostly full health and almost a full bar of magic when he came in there. Or I guess he had a full bar of magic when he came in. So now he can use all the magic he wants and then take an intentional death right before Thunderbird to get the rest of it refilled. So that's pretty good for him.
He's not gambling here and do the alternate route in the Palace, though.
Ha, not this time.
Not this time. He's still on the sub 80 pace here, so I think.
There's a good use of upstab right there.
Yeah, now you're going to see different versions of that room that we just went through in an Error side throughout the Great Palace. The next one coming up is definitely the most annoying iteration of that room, simply because of the enemy that we have in it. The enemy, I forget the name, it's the blue jumping knight, is basically the best way to describe it. And those things can jump about 4 blocks high and throw their beams 5 blocks high. So you're going to see Error when he gets there cast the jump spell, and then try and get as high as you can on the blocks. And
Yes,
here
Sven
we
is having
go.
a bit of a problem right now. Okay, yeah, Error's gonna do this.
Svenne
room.
took an unfortunate death there on the
Yeah, that Scorpion is tricky.
Scorpion was trolling him there.
Alright, Error does not quite get the ideal fight here. I probably would have cast Shield once I saw that was about to go south, but fortunately he managed to kill that Bird Knight, and he's okay.
Svenne decided to try to fight fire with fire there for a while and kind of gave up, I think. I don't know why. He shot some fire at the Scorpion there.
Yeah, so this room here in the Great Palace, just a little bit of a fake out with all the curtain, just to make you think you're getting to the end, and then wait, nope, no, we decided we don't want to put the boss here just yet.
So Svenne got an option here if he wants. This is the only place, the only palace, when you game over, you start over at the Great Palace. All other places, you start over from the start of the game.
That's right. If this was a category that allowed up A, you would definitely take an immediate up A as soon as you entered. But here we give, because we're not allowing that, here we give the players the option of taking a quick death in the first possible location, so either this spicy chicken or just go back and die from running into the barrier in the backside, and yeah, he does it. And so now he's Return of Ganon, now he comes in with full lives, and this should be no problem for him. In fact, with full lives, full magic, magic 8, he could probably just ferry past everything that he doesn't want to fight. Error taking the intentional death. I believe that was his. I didn't see what the number said, but I think that was his last life. Oh,
2 lives.
He's got plenty. What's this guy hoarding lives for?
Yep. Do also want you to note, though, even though we don't have the sound being played here, next time you get a chance to listen to the Return of Ganon laugh, and then go play some Punch-Out and go get to fight to Soda Popinski, and listen to his laugh, and you'll realize that Ganon and Soda Popinski have the same laugh.
So we see Error here doing the 4 important spells: Thunder to make Thunderbird vulnerable, Jump so that you can get multiple hits per cycle, Shield so that he'll do less damage to you, and Reflect, which reduces the size of your hitbox and allows you to block those fireballs with your shield. So
And Error is gonna get a sub 80, actually.
yeah, he sure is.
That rough
easily.
start.
Yep, so this is the final boss in the game, Dark Link. So for anybody who has horrible, horrible nightmares with the Water Temple from Ocarina of Time, you can thank Zelda 2 for Dark Link.
And let's see how he fights him. Does he do the jump slashes? Let's see. Looks like he's just going to do all standing slashes here. Still, though,
Yep.
he's timing it pretty well, and that's a pretty
Really
clean
good
fight.
fights. That was really good RNG on Dark Link there.
Let me see if I
Very,
can tell
very
his
nice.
time.
Let's
You
say
can time most of the shots there, but
119.29 is what I'm getting right now
Yep,
from Error's timer.
119.29. That's it.
So yeah, especially considering the slow start Error had, that's a really, really good time, especially in a race.
I think Error expects to get sub 80s all the time, so he's really consistent on getting those sub 80s.
Yep, the second best run of the tournament so far. We had ProJan earlier today get a 116 something, and now Error has got the other sub 120. Now we see Svenne right now dealing with this blue Bird Knight room that causes so much agony in so many players. Let's see. Yeah, not getting a very cooperative pattern from him, but looks like he's probably going to get out of here okay.
However, it does get clipped by the sword beam on the way out. So again, I do want to do some quick shout-outs to whoever is the curtain designer in Hyrule, because not only do they design decent curtains, but they design durable curtains to be able to sit in these palaces for however long these palaces sat for somebody in here, and all the monsters. Mad shout-outs to the curtain designer of Hyrule.
Oh, you mean the coils?
Coils, they do look like coiled springs or something. Alright, Sven is coming up to the final spicy chicken. This is the last real enemy that you have to go by here.
I love the names some of the enemies in this game get.
The spicy chickens.
Yep. And hi, Boss Bot.
Boss bot.
Yep, Sven takes the intentional death. That's probably the fastest place to take it. And now he's all filled up for this boss fight. And he's got magic level 8, so he shouldn't have too much of a problem. He can cast the 4 spells we talked about earlier. And he can even cast Shield on Dark Link, or Fire if he chooses to make it interesting.
Oh yes, the fire strats on Dark Link. So there's jump.
The optimal way is to set up your magic 8 upgrade there on the bridge, so you can skip the...
Yeah, I like that as well, delaying Magic 8 till the end of this palace. But no, I haven't really seen people doing that.
I try to do it, but sometimes you just take too much damage to...
Right, or you accidentally earn too much experience.
Yeah.
So we've got Thunderbird down. Thunderbird's not down because he didn't get the right key grab. You can't have a successful boss fight without a good key grab. But yeah, we got Dark Link. Sven is an old hand at Zelda 2, so he knows how to deal with this fight.
Yep. Yes, this just goes to show you guys who are maybe thinking about picking this up. When you get to the level of play that my co-commentators and Error and Svenne all do, it's not a matter of how well you beat the boss, it's a matter of how well you grab the key afterwards. Optimization, people. Optimization.
So he's using duck strats right here. I still use duck strats, but I think people are converting over to standing strats for him. But yeah, he's finished.
Got a good RNG on the Dark Link fight also.
Very
He can
good
do a lot of
RPG,
things.
yeah.
Jump back, jump over, try to jump on you. It's... What time did Svenne get there?
It's not on his timer, so I didn't see exactly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I guess it was around the 123 range, maybe.
probably somewhere in that range, 122, 123.
Yeah, it was a mid 123, but I didn't see exactly what. 33. Prez says 123.33.
That's what Matt Prez is calling. Yep.
And I still don't think we got what who NPC said to go to the shrine and get the
I don't
magic.
have the answer to that yet.
I think earlier, way back in the chat, somebody mentioned that somebody says there's a secret at edge of town.
Okay, so that's all you get.
Yep. Somebody says that apparently there's a guy who says magic key is the treasure of Kasuto, and there is a secret at edge of town.
Okay, that's too much information.
And absolutely, if you haven't done so already, please follow both of these runners. Their current Twitch links are in the chat at twitch.tv.error72 and twitch.tv/Svenne1138.
That's right.